Mas tá bom.
Mas o que ele tá falando?
No Shama. Let's go. October 4.
Eu vou bater em você. Vou bater de mão aberta. Na sua cara.
То же самое, не нужно словами бросаться. Мы ожидаем 4 октября бой. Давайте сделаем это в ринге. Зачем говорить пустые слова?
Eu não falei nada, ele sempre falou. Eu nunca falei nada, ele sempre falou. E agora quando chegou frente a frente é um cuzão.
The footage of the altercation between Alex Pereira and Magomed Ankalaev at the UFCPI has been released, where things got heated between the two fighters. Meanwhile, Alex Pereira admitted he wasn't close to full health in his first fight with Magomed Ankalaev, claiming he was at 40% on the night. He said he was surprised he could even compete, but promised that even a small improvement would change everything. Pereira vowed that in the rematch, he would leave no doubts about the outcome.
Deal with that is not cool, but honestly, man, like if I put together everything that was going on with me, and I'm not gonna say right now, it makes me even happy that I was able to do the fight that I did under everything that was going on with me. I'm not trying to talk over there, anything like that. Of course, I'm not happy that with the loss, but knowing my potential and like, you know what I mean, the way that I fought, you know what I mean, I'm actually even surprised that I was able to fight like that under everything that was going on with me.
What was the most difficult part about dealing with Ankalaev in your first fight in March?
I think the conditions that I was coming to that fight, that I had coming to that fight.
So, I mean, were you 50% of what you normally are in that fight? 40%? Are you willing to put a number on it?
Honestly, I was about 40% on that fight, on that night.
Wow.
And obviously, it's going to be much more this time. But if I'm only 50%, that 10% is going to make such a great difference. They're going to leave no doubt for everybody.
On the other hand, Alex Pereira released the footage of the altercation between Alex Pereira and Magomed Ankalaev at the UFC PI.
The girl said that you were hiding in the room when we came for training.
Девушка сказала, что ты прятался в комнате.
Чем девушка? Какая девушка сказала? Ну-ка, покажи мне ее. Я был на процедуре вообще-то.
Ele falou assim, que a menina falou isso para mim, me mostra que eu tava fazendo o tratamento.
Pô, eu vi no vídeo, velho. O vídeo a gente filmou, né? Conversa.
It's on the YouTube video that he posted on his channel.
То, что ему девушка сказала, это нам не важно. Если он хотел меня увидеть, вот я здесь. Добро пожаловать.
Ele falou, o que a menina falou não importa, ele me queria ver, eu tô aqui. E aí?
Mas o que tem a ver agora?
Esse problema
ele pode falar o que ele quiser agora, que tipo, a gente não pode brigar agora, entendeu?
Добро пожаловать в любое время. Как хотят, так ни разницы нет.
Both fighters were seen challenging each other using the AI translator, and both looked excited to knock out the other during the upcoming rematch at UFC 320.
Сделаем это в ринге. Зачем говорить пустые слова?
Ele falou, cara, na verdade a gente vai lutar no dia 4 de outubro, a gente não tem que trocar palavras mais.
Eu não falei nada, ele sempre falou. Eu nunca falei nada, ele sempre falou. E agora quando chegou frente a frente é um cuzão.
And now that we're here face to face, you know, you look like the asshole because you're the one on Twitter talking.
Что я говорил, что я спрятался в комнате, это я сказал или он?
Ele falou o que ele tá falando, que faz para você falar para ele que ele tá se escondendo de você.
Ele tá ali, pô, tá com o time dele. Você quer vir lá pra dentro? Ele falou assim, ok, melhor, vou lá pra dentro. A menina falou isso.
He said the UFCPI girl told you that Alex and his team was coming in for training and that it would be best for you to go wait in the room and that you agreed to wait.
Девушка закрыла дверь, она сказала, подожди, они не хотят с ним подраться, что ли? В чем проблема? Чтобы говорить на публику, что я закрылся.
Ele falou que basicamente eles seguraram ele aí e falaram, você não pode sair agora.
Mas tá bom.
Mas o que ele tá falando?
No Shama. Let's go. October 4.
However, Magomed Ankalaev still denied Alex Pereira's claims that he was hiding from him at the UFC Performance Institute. He explained that after a physical therapy session, he was told Pereira was around, but he never actually saw him. Ankalaev said he was frustrated when he later saw Pereira's video, which accused him of avoiding an encounter. According to Ankalaev, when he confronted Pereira directly, Pereira admitted he only heard from someone else that Ankalaev had been there and then quickly changed the subject.
It's a very interesting story because the other day I was doing like some physical therapy, like a massage. And then after I finished, I came out. I was told that Pereira was there. I didn't see him. And then the next day, I see a video come out where he says that I was hiding and stuff like that, which is not true. And I was a little angry when I saw the video. So then when I saw him today, I approached him. I say, hey, when did I see you or when did you see me? It never happened. And to which he answered, he said, oh, there was one girl who told me that you were there, but, you know, he switched the topic, you know.
Earlier, Alex Pereira lashed out at Magomed Ankalaev for allegedly dodging him at the UFC Performance Institute, labeling the behavior cowardly. He expressed frustration that Ankalaev wouldn't face him directly, stressing that if he truly wanted a fight, he wouldn't announce it but act immediately. Pereira criticized him for hiding and relying on others, making it clear that he values action over words. He added that he won't go out of his way to create a confrontation, saying if it happens, it will be on his terms.
Aí o cara fala para dessa, fica se escondendo, velho. É cuzão, velho, o cara, velho. Porra, velho. Frouxo, velho. Ele ficou olhando, tipo assim, será que ele tá com raiva, será que ele não tá, e eu só na minha, não falei nada, aí ele não saiu da salinha. Mas se eu tivesse cumprimentado, ou tivesse balançado a cabeça pra ele fala, ei, Ankalaev, você pode sair, pode estar de boa com a gente, não vai ter briga não. Mano, se eu for querer um dia fazer isso, brigar com alguém, velho, você acha que eu falo, vou bater nesse cara, ou eu nem falo, velho, tá ligado? Eu só deixo. Na hora que vim, cumprimenta o Globo, cumprimenta você, pá, se eu quero, eu quero pegar, é ali mesmo, toma, receba. Já era. Os caras ficam falando, sabe que os parceiros não vai deixar, tá ligado? Claro. E aí fica assim, me segura, senão, me segura, senão eu mato, me segura, tá ligado? Porra, isso não existe, velho. Se eu quero fazer a parada, velho, eu só fico quieto, fico aqui na minha. Você acha que eu vou avisar vocês? Você acha que eu vou avisar o Globo? Eu vou nada. Vocês não vão deixar, velho.
Magomed Ankalaev also warns Alex Pereira ahead of the rematch. Ankalaev said he wrapped up his last hard training session and is ready to go. He revealed he confronted Alex Pereira after claims that he was hiding at the UFC Performance Institute. Ankalaev explained that when he asked Pereira directly, Pereira admitted he hadn't seen him himself and only heard it from someone else. Magomed Ankalaev said, had my last hard training today and I'm good to go. Met my opponent today, I confronted him for lying about seeing me in the PI the other day, to which he said, oh no, it was one girl who told me she saw you but I didn't see you myself. I will turn off his electricity next week. Alex Pereira further exploded at Magomed Ankalaev for allegedly avoiding him at the UFC Performance Institute. He mocked Ankalaev for hiding in a room while he was present, calling him a coward. Pereira recalled seeing Ankalaev's coach but not the fighter himself and shared a humorous moment when a teammate spotted Ankalaev being quietly escorted away by staff. He emphasized that he wasn't foolish enough to fall for such tricks and made it clear he wouldn't chase a fight that wasn't meant to happen.
Uma coisa até engraçada que aconteceu ali agora, a saída do PI, né? Eu vi ali o treinador do Ankalaev, eu fiquei ali na minha, mas não vi o Ankalaev. O engraçado foi na hora que eu saí do PI, e aí quando eu cheguei no carro, né, um cara do meu time, né, tava lá dentro ainda, né, e viu, tipo, a menina do PI falando pro Ankalaev, pode vir, ele já foi embora já, tipo, porra, escondendo o cara, escondendo o cara na salinha ali, velho. O cara acha que eu vou encontrar ele e vou sair brigando com o cara, velho. Pô, não sou idiota.
Ankalaev responded to Pereira's remarks by saying that he never avoided him and had already given him another chance in the cage. He felt Pereira should acknowledge that instead of complaining, since the previous match went exactly as he had prepared and left little doubt about the outcome, Ankalaev stressed that the attention should be on proving skills in the octagon rather than trading words outside of it. Magomed Ankalaev said, this clown who I'm fighting said I'm hiding from him, I'm giving him a rematch, and he should be very grateful. I whooped him for 5 rounds and I did everything I wanted to him during the fight. Let's focus on fighting and not trash talking. Alex Pereira brushed off Magomed Ankalaev's social media posts calling him a chump. He admitted he hadn't read them until recently, but dismissed them as meaningless once he did. Pereira said he would have addressed things directly had Ankalaev spoken face to face, repeating his frustration that Ankalaev chose to stay out of sight when they were both at the UFC PI. For Pereira, it only confirmed his belief that Ankalaev was avoiding him.
Mas será que não foi porque ele falou na internet?
Eu não sei o que ele falou, não.
Você, Potan, você está certo. Eu não vou ter nenhuma palavra a dizer, porque você vai acabar dormindo depois que ter que trabalhar na borracharia de novo.
Pode ser, né? Tá vendo? O cara fala besteira. Eu nem tinha visto isso aí, velho. De verdade.
Eu tô ligado.
Bom, de verdade, eu segurava o BO, entendeu? Mas o ponto de o cara se esconder na sala, velho, porque eu tô no mesmo ambiente, velho. pô. O cara é um frouxo, velho. Esse é um frouxo, pô.
Ankalaev said he was sure of himself against Pereira, pointing out that Pereira had been stopped 3 times while Ankalaev had never been knocked down. He vowed to be the one to end Pereira's streak with a 4th stoppage and insisted there was nothing to debate. Magomed Ankalaev said, "This guy has been knocked out 3 times in his career. I have never been knocked down. This time, I will give him his 4th knockout." End of the story. Alex Pereira blasted Magomed Ankalaev, branding him a terrible champion. He said he has no interest in starting fights outside the cage unless it's in self-defense, but mocked Ankalaev for shutting himself away instead of facing him. Pereira argued that real bravery is proven under the lights of the octagon, suggesting that Ankalaev's behavior showed weakness despite wearing the belt.
Eu vou ficar na minha ali, entendeu? Eu nunca vou, tipo, arrumar uma confusão com o cara, nunca vou chegar. Lógico, a não ser que o cara venha pra cima, tá ligado? Tá, eu tenho que me defender também, né? Mas aí, tipo, que campeão é esse, velho? Que campeão de merda, velho. Aí, achei a única besteira que eu falei, velho. Mas é um campeão de merda, velho, um cara desse. Mas sabe por quê? Não pelo que ele fala, mas hoje tem que se esconder numa sala, velho. Demonstrou que é um cagão, velho. Vamos ver. Vamos ver. Porra, se escondendo agora, mas porra, a gente vai estar na jaula lá, velho, trancado lá, velho. Não vai ter. A não ser que ele vai pular a grade, velho. Ah, um campeão de merda, um cara desse, velho. Porra. Chama!
Meanwhile, Chael Sonnen pointed out that the Pereira vs. Ankalaev rematch lacked buzz because people felt the outcome was already predictable. He mentioned that even fighters pushing for their own title shots were acting as if Ankalaev would come out on top. According to him, the first fight ended without confusion or drama, so fans had little reason to expect a different story this time.
Well, everything just changed. So, Pereira versus Ankalaev is very much going under the radar, and it's going under the radar for a number of reasons, but none of which is greater than the fact that we believe we know the outcome of that fight. Like, there just hasn't been a lot of pomp and circumstance around the idea that Pereira is going to win that fight. Other guys in the division that see themselves lined up, when they come out and talk about it without disrespecting Pereira, but they do mention, you know, I think I should be next. I think I should take on Ankalaev next. They will give a hint or a clue that they believe that Ankalaev is going to win. I don't see that any different. I watched that first fight. There was nothing compelling from a controversial standpoint that would make you believe that if you did 5 more rounds, you were going to get a different result.
Chael Sonnen found it unusual that Ankalaev continued to call out Pereira despite already holding a win over him. He said the repeated posts online even made him think the headlines were outdated at first. What struck him as strange was Pereira's silence, which left the whole back and forth feeling awkward.
I'm sharing with the way the media and the story is being told. It appears that he's not overly interested in the fight. If you guys will remember, Ankalaev beat Pereira. Ankalaev then calls out Pereira. We're all looking around going, I literally said this to my producer. My producer, Ryan, shows me this. I go, Ryan, are you showing me an old article? What do you mean Ankalaev called out Pereira? He just beat Pereira. Ryan goes, no. He called him out today. Said Ankalaev, who beat Pereira, is calling out Pereira? He said, yes, he called him out today. I had to go to social media, go to Ankalaev, and make sure that I had this story right. And sure enough, he called him out again, and he called him out again, and he called him out the next week, and then he really started to ramp things up a month or so later, and Pereira never, that I saw, responded. I never saw Pereira respond.
Chael Sonnen suggested that Pereira's real goal was to test himself at heavyweight, not stay where he was. He believed Pereira had the tools to rise to the top in that division and felt people misunderstood his true ambitions. Sonnen argued that the current matchup didn't represent the fight Pereira was truly chasing.
Every part about Pereira is he just keeps dropping hints. I mean, every single thing that he does has to do with what he weighs. Doesn't matter if it's 2 weeks ago when he was 244 pounds or if it was this morning when he was 234 pounds. Everything that he puts out has to do with his weight, which I interpret is foreshadowing that he doesn't want to be a 205 pounder. And I don't want him at 205 pounds, personally. I believe he is capable of champ status. I want to see that. I want to see that in my lifetime. Or I want to see the opportunity. I want him at heavyweight. But that would still speak to the idea that this is not the fight that he wants. And this is just kind of the way and the vibe of our industry. And I now here to tell you, our industry got that wrong.
Corey Sandhagen gave his view on the rematch, saying Ankalaev showed control throughout their first fight. even in moments Pereira seemed to take. He highlighted how Ankalaev smartly shifted gears in the 4th round by pressing Pereira against the fence instead of trading shots. In Sandhagen's eyes, that tactical edge made Ankalaev the safer pick to win again. Corey Sandhagen said, "Yeah, that one's tough. Ankalaev was dominant in that fight. Even in the rounds Pereira won, Ankalaev maintained a lot of control. I really liked what Ankalaev did in the 4th round when he pinned Pereira against the cage just to secure the round. That was a genius strategy. He knew he had won the round and could go back to taking risks in striking. Ankalaev can always use that option unless Pereira is ready for it. I think Ankalaev will win." Michael Bisping pointed out that Pereira wasn't getting the same fan backing as before, and also broke down why Ankalaev came up short in their first meeting. He felt Ankalaev held back too much, keeping his distance instead of pushing the action. According to Bisping, that hesitation opened the door for Pereira to steal the fight.
He went up against Magomed Ankalaev. He lost the belt. He lost a decision pretty soundly, to be honest. And he didn't really do much in the fight. He didn't pull the trigger. Of course, he was on an insane schedule. He was fighting frequently. Maybe he was a little burned out. And he was also flying all over the world. And we spoke about this at the time. I did videos on this. He was in Australia. He was all over the place. He was maximizing on the opportunity of being the champion and trying to rake in all the money that he could and just enjoy the moment. Why not? There's nothing wrong with that. However, what comes first is the fights. And I do believe that was a factor in the Magomed Ankalaev fight, why he lost the fight, because he did look a little bit flat.
Nick Barnhill gave his take on the rematch, saying he didn't see Ankalaev having an easier time with Pereira than before. He noted that Pereira earned Ankalaev's respect early, which kept the fight competitive even after adjustments were made. Barnhill admitted Pereira might lack some of the well-rounded tools others have, but stressed that his striking remained top tier, even if it wasn't fully showcased in their first clash.
I'm not of the nature that everybody seems to think Ankalaev is just going to go in there and beat him easier and even faster than he did last time. Pereira did give him some things to worry about. He had his respect early on, and of course that respect started to fade later into the fight, but not fully, because if it did, Ankalaev probably would have pushed on the gas a little bit harder and looked for the finish. Pereira might not be the fighter that Ankalaev is in mixed martial arts, but when it comes to striking, he still is one of the highest level guys in the UFC. He obviously came in the first time with limited weapons, mostly sitting around all night looking for the lead hook. He was also trying to beat the calf up, but Ankalaev did a pretty good job at noticing that. And then as the fight went on, he made that less and less effective.
Nick Barnhill felt that Pereira would fall short if he spent too much time waiting to counter and failed to push the pace, likely giving Ankalaev the chance to win rounds on the scorecards. He added that a different approach could see Pereira take more chances in the later rounds, swinging for a finish to grab the title. Still, Barnhill admitted it was unclear which mindset Pereira would bring into the rematch.
If Pereira doesn't start mixing it up, and instead of waiting for counter strikes, start to bring the offense himself, he will find himself low on the scorecards again. Then we're basically going to look at the exact same fight where Ankalaev wins a 5-round victory, unanimous decision, or Pereira says, you know what, risk it all for the biscuit in these last couple rounds. I'm going to go out there and try to get this belt back. If that happens, I could see a late finish happening, but I don't know which side of the game Pereira is going to come in on.
That concludes today's video. Let us know your thoughts on this matchup in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for the latest updates on upcoming UFC fights.